to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, we're going to talk about Eli Manning has officially announced that he will be retiring. A lot of New York Giants fans going into the offseason probably, thought, myself included, maybe he still got some gas left in the tank. We saw him down the stretch, and, we got excited, some old Eli memories, with some nice throws there where he got another opportunity to come back into the game, and it was nice to see. But, he's going to call it quits, and he's going to retire as a New York Giant, and that's something special to me, that Eli Manning played his entire career with this storied franchise, and he didn't want to go out and compete for a job and make more, $10, $20 million, whatever he would have got paid for another team. He wanted to end as a New York Giant. And, I say it all the time. People ask me, who's your favorite Giant? Who's your favorite player? Eli Manning is not just my favorite Giant. He's my favorite athlete, period, of all time. I was born in 1985. I was 18 when he was drafted in 2004. And without Eli Manning, I'd still be a Giants fan, but I would not be near as diehard of a Giants fan as I am today, and that will continue because of Eli Manning. I looked up to Eli Manning when I was a young adult, and I am happy that I got to see his entire career as an adult because I got to appreciate what he meant to this franchise. I think there's a lot of younger fans today that don't realize what he meant to the Giants, what he meant to the NFL. I look at Eli Manning. He was a phenomenal athlete, but he was an even better person off the field. Walter Payton, Man of the Year award, which obviously goes to the most charitable athlete. He was nominated for it at least one or two other times. And I think he's the fifth most charitable athlete of all time, fourth or fifth. He's up there. And I go on Twitter yesterday, and I see, I forgot who it is, but somebody posted a tweet that said that Eli Manning is the highest paid football player of all time. And kind of like a lot of people laughed at that. And they said, wow, God, it's because he's a Manning. I don't care. I'm happy he's the most paid athlete, or highest paid athlete of all time. Because without Eli Manning, I don't have any championships. I am, and I say it all the time, and I think because I'm a Mets fan and because of my age, I appreciate Eli Manning more than maybe some Yankee fans would. That's not bashing Yankee fans. Yankee fans have seen championships. I've seen 2 championships in 34 years between all 3 of my teams, the Knicks, the Mets, and the Giants. And both of them were with Eli Manning as quarterback. And yes, it's a team sport, but obviously the quarterback is special, right? And he was a big part of both of those. Yes, the defense was great in 2007 and, obviously the 2008 Super Bowl. But the defense didn't throw those passes. The defense didn't orchestrate the fourth quarter drive. The defense didn't orchestrate I think it was 58 seconds to go before the half against the Cowboys. People always forget about that when he threw it to Amani Toomer, and they go in, I think they took the lead at halftime, and they end up winning that game before they go to the NFC title game to go into Lambeau Field in negative 30-degree temperatures, and Plaxico Burress undresses Al Harris, and Eli Manning plays his ass off in that game. Obviously the 2011 season, to me, is the most special season I've ever watched in terms of watching one specific athlete. And I still got to watch people say that the defense carried him for that season. That's ridiculous. That season, the Giants had the 27th ranked defense in all of football for the entirety of the regular season. Okay? Eli Manning threw for almost 5,000 yards. He had 6 fourth quarter comebacks. The team only had 9 wins. 6 of them were fourth quarter comebacks. He was as clutch as nails. The game-winning drive against the Patriots in the regular season. Of course, he had another one in the Super Bowl against them. But in the regular season, he throws it to Jake Ballard. He had that great game against the Cowboys. Then he knocked the Cowboys off the last game of the season. A 99-yard touchdown pass to Victor Cruz. Obviously, Cruz was incredible that year. Maybe the best individual season by a wide receiver in the history of the New York Giants. But Eli Manning, going into that year, people mocked him. They said he wasn't elite. And then he went out there and he backed it up. He was. He carried the team that year. I thought he should have won the MVP that year. I don't care what the statistics say. What he did for that team that year, he was just on another level. Eli Manning was always good. That year, he was elite. that year. He was just on another level. And when it came to the playoffs, who else would you have wanted behind center in a New York Giants uniform? Guy had 5 road playoff wins. I think that's the second most in the history of football. He's got the 4th most game-winning drives in the history of football in the playoffs. He's number 7 in yards. He's number 7 in touchdowns all time. But the game-winning drives in the playoffs, to me, is beyond impressive because the guys that are above him, the Bradys, the Montanas, they played in like triple the games. This guy's still 4th all time. The guy only had like 12 or 13 playoff games. And the teams he beat. And the quarterbacks he knocked off on the road. He went into Lambeau Field, a place where Brett Favre, I think, had 1 playoff loss. I think at the time he might have had none. Maybe he had 1 playoff loss ever in Lambeau Field. Eli knocked him off. He knocked off Aaron Rodgers and the 15-1 Packers. People forget about that in the divisional round. He knocked off the Cowboys in Dallas. And we got to see, obviously Terrell Owens crying his eyes out. And the 18-0 Pats. And, of course, Michael Strahan had a lot to do with that. Justin Tuck had a lot to do with that. But Eli was my guy. He was my quarterback. You know, everybody has their favorites. He was my favorite. I didn't get to appreciate Lawrence Taylor. I didn't grow up in that era. I saw Taylor at the very tail end when I was like 7, 8 years old. You know, obviously I know about Lawrence Taylor. I've watched highlights on Lawrence Taylor. But he didn't have the same influence on my life as a New York Giants fan that Eli Manning did. And, you know, I always love Eli Manning. And people often ask me to sum up Eli Manning in one word. And there's many words that could describe Eli Manning. Resiliency, toughness, gritty, clutch, leader. Even though he might have not been the most vocal guy, he led by example. But to me, it's giant. When I think about players that I want on my team, it's someone like Eli Manning. Someone who never points the finger at anyone but himself. When he had every right to. The New York Giants failed Eli Manning for the second half of his career. They did. First half of his career, they set him up for success. He had a great offensive line. Obviously great running back in Tiki Barber when he first started. You had weapons, Shockey, Burris, blah, 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 blah. Toomer, Victor Cruz. You go down the list. Hakeem Nicks. But the second half of his career, they failed him. The offensive line went to hell once all those guys retired. The Deals, the Snees, the O'Haras, they never revitalized that offensive line, and Eli Manning was not nearly as successful because of it, and the team faltered. The defense was not the same, obviously. They drafted poorly for a 7-year stretch. So yes, of course, Eli Manning takes some of the blame for that, but the Giants failed him in the second half of his career, and I think his 500 record would have been a lot better had they given him the proper supporting cast. Now, can you blame Eli Manning for part of it? Yeah, he got paid. But he deserved to get paid. The guy brought me the 2 best memories of my sports life ever, and it'll never be topped. The Patriots 18-0 season will never be top knocking them off. Just won't be. Will I be emphatic and euphoric if the Mets win a World Series? Absolutely. But I cannot imagine the Mets or the Knicks winning a championship in better fashion than what the Giants did on both of those Super Bowl runs, especially the first one, because it was incredibly unexpected. Up to that point, Eli Manning was thought to be a mediocre quarterback, a guy that was kind of a fringe bust that some Giants fans were hoping would be replaced soon. And then he just miraculously went on a run, and then obviously in 2008, they probably would have won back-to-back, but Burris shoots himself, and the rest is history. But, yeah, man, I will always love Eli Manning. He's my favorite Giant of all time, and like I said, I want to do the right video. I'll have a highlight video of all his greatest moments, but I want to do it right, and I want to have the time to do it, and I will definitely get that up. But I'm going to miss him, man. I'm looking forward to the press conference tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be some great quotes from that, and I will, I'll definitely do a video on that, but I just wanted to express my feelings about how much he meant to me as a fan, and how much he meant to the New York Giants. To me, he's the perfect role model in terms of an athlete. And, I know that's not athletes' jobs, but he's somebody that, as a younger adult that I thought was a great person to look up to. Yeah, I love him. And I think the biggest reason why I loved Eli Manning as much as I did, as I kind of, even though he was older than me, I kind of looked at him as like a little brother, like the guy that always got picked on by everybody. Whether you were a Cowboy fan, a Redskin fan, or any fan, Jet fan, or even a Giant fan. Half the fan base picks on him. I felt like I had to defend the guy, and I felt, that That's part of the reason why I think I admired him and loved him as much as I did, because he was hated. Not hated might not be the right word, but not liked, or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people did not have fond things to say about Eli. And I thought a lot of times people went over the top in bashing him. And I think a lot of it had to do with his name and the fact that he played in New York. You tell me one team that would not, you tell me one quarterback that would not sign up for what Eli Manning produced. 2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs, one of only 5 quarterbacks to ever do that in the greatest sports city in the world. With all the pressure. That's all I got to say about Eli, man. I love Eli. And he'll be missed. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.